as a first generation entrepreneur, especially out of Bangalore, I've always been very, very optimistic of this moment. Okay. The fact that it's now finally being recognized, of course, makes us all very, very proud. But I never doubted the fact that we could put India on the map of the world very well in terms of global leadership. I set up my company quite by accident, as you know, in 1978. And as I built the company, I saw the country also go through enormous change. So, I started my company at the height of the license Raj. Okay. And then in the 90s, I saw this wonderful economic reforms being announced. And ever since then, of course, I've seen the country unleash its potential. Now, when I look at what's happened in this millennium, I think that was really the turning point, because that was the start of the tech revolution, not just in the world, but in India. The IT sector started being visible, started being globally recognized. The phenomenon of we will be Bangalored became very, very evident.
And how much of that
rub-off
or inspiration was there, Kiran, from what you were seeing in the IT to what you were doing?
Let me be very honest. I started Biocon even before Infosys and other, software companies took root in Bangalore.
These were almost parallel streams that...
So we were both growing together, and I always believed that we were intertwined. I never saw biotech as being a separate tech space, so to speak. I always thought that it was synonymous with information technology.
Innovation, that is both.
So I just felt I was looking more at it from a point of view that these are new age businesses with new age technologies backing them and with new kinds of talent resources that required to grow them. So I looked at it in a very different way. I didn't look at it as IT and biotech. And I think I was the only biotech company. So drawing inspiration from each other was the done thing. I think people celebrated many of the things that I did just as much as I celebrated a lot of what the IT sector did. And of course, I was very inspired by the IT sector. But there was nothing for me to really emulate in many ways, except I will tell you, and honestly, I must confess this, that in 1993, when I set up Syngene International as India's first research services company, it was borrowed from that concept of software services. And I just asked this question, if IT could create this software services sector
from India for the rest of the world,
why can't I create a research services sector out of biotech and biosciences? So that's what actually led to Syngene, because I felt it was a very, logical kind of business model. And that's what I did. And it's now become a huge success, and it catered to a huge, huge need that, the whole global pharma space wanted and required.
So in fact, I think it's nice that you took what was probably not very high value services that was being offered in IT and applied it to a space which was much higher in terms of what we are capable of doing in India.
Yeah, and let me tell you, biosciences and the kind of research services that we offer to these companies is very, very high tech, and it involves very complex skills.
True.
So whilst IT is really at that time was just about coding and very, very simple, basic stuff, biosciences was far more complex.
True.
So those were the skills we had to put in place, And today, of course, we have all these very complex integrated skill sets, which are just sort of moving the needle, and we're getting to a higher and higher level of competency when it comes to research and innovation.
Great.
For stories like this, keep following us. From Code to Culture, our podcast. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media.